Good morning, everyone. Hello, how are you? Sorry, I'm just getting distracted with stuff. Sorry I'm late for this pre-show. This is the pre-show before our Virgin Money Giving information event and Q&A. And this is just me gathering up some questions, seeing what people are saying on Twitter, seeing what people are saying on social, and getting ready to put these questions and these points to some of our experts that we have. Now, we are broadcasting this pre-show across all our socials. So you'll find us on, you might be watching this on Twitter, you might be watching this on LinkedIn, you might be watching this on Facebook or somewhere else, or on the event page itself. So wherever you are, do say hello, send us a message, let me know where you're tuning in from. And I would love to hear your thoughts and questions about the imminent closure of Virgin Money Giving and how that's going to affect you as a fundraiser and how that's going to affect your charity. Then at 11 o'clock, when we start our proper show, we are going to cut off the socials. So if you are watching this on social and you want to keep watching, you will have to come across to the main event on fundraisingeverywhere.com. It is free to sign up for this, to register for this. This is something we're putting out for free to all of our followers and supporters and anyone who's affected by this, because we know this is going to have a big impact on a number of charities. So please do go ahead and feel free to jump in with any comments. Like I said, this is just a pre-show, but we will be starting officially at 11 o'clock. But what I want to do in the meantime is just have a look at what some of the newspapers of our sector are saying. And obviously what we're going to do is we're going to start with Virgin Money Giving, UK fundraising, because this is where I get my first bit of news every day. My first fundraising news after Twitter is that obviously I look at UK fundraising and I see what Howard and his team have said. So let's have a look what we're doing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this up on the screen. So our Google News thing, let's have a look at what Fundraising UK have said. Howard was quick getting this out, which is really helpful. And the thing about Virgin Money Giving, we'll get into this more during the actual panel discussion and Q&A. But one of the problems that we saw with this is actually, by the looks of it, Virgin didn't tell anyone that they, or any of their charities and clients, that they were doing this before it went public. I don't know why I'm searching for some Vivo song there. And so actually a lot of the charities and a lot of people who are affected by this found out kind of like by word of mouth on social media. And the impression I'm getting from that is that it was actually leaked a week early. It seems to be what people are saying, but I'm not 100% sure. So let's see what Howard said. Or let's see what UK Fundraising said. Essentially, they're closing on 30th of November, which is only less than 3 months away. And that's obviously going to have a big impact, not just for the fundraise and donations, because people have set up their pages to fundraise much further in advance than November, but also for our regular donors. And we're going to be hearing when the full show starts, when the full panel discussion starts, we're going to be hearing from one of the charities in particular who I know this has been a problem for, because essentially all the monthly donors, all the regular donors that have signed up for this are just getting stopped. You know, it's not an easy transition just to keep taking that monthly donation into another account. There's all sorts of practical issues with that, which we're going to be talking about. And so essentially what you're doing is in a way starting again with these donors, because you're having to reach out to them, you're having to connect with them again, and you're having to secure that direct debit again. You know, it should be easier than bringing a brand new donor, but there's obviously going to be some drop off in that. And one of the things that really worried me about what Virgin was saying is that they are going to contact the donors, the supporters, and obviously they're probably legally obligated to do that because it's their direct debit agreement with them or their monthly donation agreement with them. But I would be worried someone like Virgin speaking directly to my organization's donors and explaining this. And this is another thing we're going to do on the event today, is we're going to talk to a communications expert and actually a couple of digital communications experts about the best way to communicate this with your supporters. Because that might not seem like a hugely important thing, but this is going to, our donors and our supporters are going to interpret these changes and how we handle them, and it's going to have some impact on how on their retention, on whether they keep donating. So essentially, you know, this is the usual news. If you haven't seen this, but what Virgin is saying, what Virgin Money Giving is saying, is that it's time to close. Sky News is the one who reported it initially. Virgin Money undertook a strategic review of Virgin Money Giving ahead of the bank's final sponsorship of the London Marathon next month. The company stated that given the significant investment required in the service for it to remain competitive, and without the brand exposure provided by the London Marathon, Virgin Money has decided to wind down the platform after the London Marathon. So someone said this on Twitter that essentially they're spitting their dummy because they didn't get the sponsorship of the London Marathon, which, you know, there's spitting their dummy is one thing, but essentially I'm you know, what they're saying between the lines here is that it doesn't make financial sense for them to do it anymore. The generation of customers, the generation of new business, and let's not beat around the bush. This is why they do it, is to get new customers and new credit cards and new banking customers onto it. It just financially it isn't going to make sense anymore. So why bother putting money into this platform? And for me, it's like almost anti-CSR, you know, rather than corporate social responsibility. It's almost corporate social irresponsibility. Because, you know, not only is it just not being a supplier to a charity anymore, it's having a negative effect on the workload of these charities, on the retention of these donors. And for them to just kind of drop in and then drop out again when it doesn't make any sense for them is not only a little bit irresponsible, but I mean, we have to kind of question the ethics of that, I think. And that might be something that we get into on this panel discussion. Remember, like I said, we're streaming this live across all social media in the pre-show. But if you want to see the full panel discussion, then do go ahead and register on the link below. And what you'll see is the full discussion where we'll be talking to charities who are actually affected by this and trying to tackle some of the questions that they have. We'll be talking from a very practical level about how we transition our donors and our fundraisers and what the alternatives are. And we're going to be speaking to some of the suppliers out there. You know, I don't necessarily want to say competitors, but competitors of Virgin Money Giving. So what are the options for what your charity can use to fundraise and accept donations going forward? Here's the Twitter thread. This is one of the things I love about UK fundraising is they embed all these tweets. Here's the Twitter thread that Virgin Money Giving have gone out with. Lovely graphic there. We helped over 20,000 charities and more than 1 million fundraisers raise in excess of £900 million. Thanks to all our fundraising donors, we are out of here. And then the reactions have been pretty. We've got Enthuse, who's going to be speaking on the panel later. You know, I would say that the competitors, the other platforms, have all been pretty generous with their comments. You know, people like Just Giving and people like Enthuse, people like Fundraising, you know, just acknowledging that it's not a good thing for the sector to see someone drop out like this. It's not a good thing for these charities to drop out like this. But at the same time, you know, coming in and trying to show that they are an alternative there. Fundraisers have been very pissed off, you know, shame on Virgin. And you know, it struck me, one of our panelists who's coming on shortly in a bit, Heather, and she said, you know, really the timing is so terrible in the run up to Christmas when fundraisers are especially busy, in the run up to, you know, with everything going on at the moment around COVID, fundraisers have never been under so much pressure. And then here's one other thing on the plate of so many fundraisers who now have to look into how do you process these monthly donations? Who should we be signing up with? And just the hassle. And so I'm really curious in our panel chat as well to talk to some of the other suppliers and just understand a bit more of that process of how do you move? How do you make this transition? One of the really interesting things in this article is that they actually have this interview with Joe Barnett, the Virgin Money Giving MD. This is when they launched. And what I actually want to do for our pre-show is actually, let's have a listen to this and let's have a watch of this. Hopefully you can hear this when I play this.
We're here with Joe Barnett, Executive Director of Virgin Money Giving. Joe, Virgin Money Giving is about to launch in June.
So this is you can see my video recommendations here, which are mainly musicals, Les Miserables, and you're going to see some Andrew Lloyd Webber. So this is Howard from UK Fundraising interviewing them. So this is when they're about to launch, and Virgin Money Giving launched in 2009. I want to say 2009. I'm sure I remember that, but I'm just going to check when this video was done. So this video came out in 2009, which I was about to say was 2 years ago, but it's actually 12 years ago. So let me see what Joe has to say.
Tell us about its services and what it aims to achieve.
Okay, well, Virgin Money Giving is an online donation engine. So the idea is it will help charities raise money online more cost effectively.
So this is the argument that a lot of the suppliers come in, and I'm going to talk about this in the panel when we start the full panel discussion. But when you get the competitors or new platforms coming in, very often they talk about the high cost of other platforms that are out there, and Howard says it in this video, arguably the high cost. I think that's the word he used. Because you're seeing platforms who are charging kind of between 5%, 7% of the donation. But what we want to be really clear about here is a lot of that cost, a lot of that fee is going towards the credit card fees. What MasterCard, what Visa, what Stripe, whoever are charging. And so it's not that the platform is taking these just for the sake of it, just for the crack. They're taking it because A, it's to cover these costs, but B, it's to cover the other things like staff costs and things like that. Staff costs, website development. And so what you have is this scale of platforms, and the ones who try to go in as cheap as possible, depending on where their other sources of income, and that's the question we have to ask, is what are the other sources of income? Depending on what their sources of income are, if there's no fee, then obviously there's a challenge there. About what these people, how do you maintain this? And in light of what we know now, that Virgin Money Giving pulling out because it's not financially viable, it's interesting to hear what they're saying here from day one about that they want to see the cost driven down. They want to see that income driven down. And that's all well and good in theory when it's part of your CSR program. But when you decide to cut your CSR because things aren't going so well, obviously there's a huge impact there. Let me see.
On online donation engines, if it come through us, an extra 6 million would have gone to charities. And the charities work pretty hard to raise their money, so if more money can go to the cause it's intended, then that must be a good thing. They also told really easy to use websites that had great functionality, that was easy both for the charities to set up their own pages and for the fundraisers to work with and to donors to go and transact with. So ease of use was key. And also the reporting and the management information. So a lot of charities, obviously they want cheap prices, they want to be able to use it, but they also want to know what's happened. So, the fact is we've spent a lot of time focusing on the reporting so that charities, whether you're an event manager or a finance director, you can set up your own report so that you can know what's been going on. You'll know which event worked for you. You'll know whether you spent your money in the best way. And that will all be really high quality, real time. And that's quite a key element as well.
So can you explain your pricing model?
Our pricing model is to break even within the first 5 years. So we're not required to make a profit. We've set ourselves up as an independent company.
It's interesting, isn't it? It's interesting hearing what they're saying. I mean, 12 years, it's a long time in tech, but it's not a long time in some of our careers and for the charities that are working on this, that's certainly not a long time. And this, I can't tell you how many meetings I've had with tech people who sit across the table like this and come in and tell you how, because of what they're going to do, all this extra money is going to be going to charities. And all, she talks about the extra 6 million that they could have given to charity if their fee was lower. And that's extremely arguable, because if you're going in with as low a fee as possible, and you can't deliver the service that you're supposed to, and we all remember things like Virgin Money Giving platform crashing during the London Marathon, then are you actually benefiting? Are you adding this to the bottom line? I don't know. This is interesting.
In the Virgin Group, and we have our own independent board of directors, some of whom are external non-execs, who will help us. Should we make any money, they will be the investment committee that decide whether it goes into reinvesting in the product or reducing future fees. So our pricing model is based on the minimum. We think we can get charged to produce the level of service that the charities want. So we could have cut the cost even further, but not have an operations centre, not have a call centre. But it's quite key to offer service as well. So 2% is that, and that's just on the fee. That's just on the donation. We're charging nothing on the gift aid that is reclaimed for people. So where that compares with some of the other players in the market.
That's a fair point about gift aid, and obviously there's always that extra bit of income that's coming into charities by gift aid. But that almost means you can justify a higher fee. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna wrap this up. I'm sorry I started the pre-show late, but my internet has gone down. Ironically, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but my internet is with Virgin Media, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying anything, but you know how these things go. But what we'll do is, I might come back to that video another time, but what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. We're going to take just under a 10-minute break, and then we're going to be on, we're going to start the proper show. So sit back, enjoy the music. If you're watching this on the event page, then let's keep chatting in the chat box. Feel free to throw in your questions. Feel free to start networking and chatting to people in the video networking. If you're watching this on social media, then use the link to register now. Come across for the full panel discussion where we're going to be getting into a lot more. But let's listen to some music, and we'll be back in a few minutes. Thank you.
Once was conference held online that helped me reach some goals of mine. The crack was great, the speakers best, oh fundraising everywhere go. Ha! Soon may we learn from home with pets and tea and people we know. One day to better yourself will learn so much and grow. They've been around for many years. We've learned and laughed and shed some tears. A community I'm proud to know. Oh, fundraising everywhere go. Ha! Soon may we learn from home with pets and tea and people we know. One day to better yourself we'll learn so much and grow. Ha! Soon may we learn from home with pets and tea and people we know. One day to better yourself we'll learn so much and grow.
Planning virtual events has never been easier, thanks to Everywhere Plus. What is Everywhere Plus? We're a virtual events platform and project management service that works with companies, charities and not-for-profit organisations in the charity sector. We have the team and the tech to help you go virtual with all your important events. Online events are full of possibilities. We have a custom-built platform that includes hybrid events and video breakout rooms, as well as a space for sponsors to connect with attendees. multilingual hosting, not to mention polls and Q&A, including branded live stream, pre-recorded and live content, even a virtual recording studio, and so much more. If you want a virtual event, we create one that your audience will love. We run your tax so you don't have to. Get in touch with us today. Tell us more about your virtual event. Everywhere Plus.